I had a best friend, someone I'd known my whole life, but no one ever warned me how one unexpected decision could change everything. I'm 17, pregnant by him, and my parents still don't know. Can you imagine how their world will explode when the truth comes out? I never thought it would come to this. It started as a stupid mistake. One of those moments that you look back on and ask yourself, how did I let that happen? But you can't undo a decision like that. Once it's made, it's out there. And for me, that decision came with consequences that I couldn't ignore. I've always been the quiet one in the family. My parents are strict, protective, always planning everything out for me. My future was supposed to be mapped out. Straight A's, a perfect graduation, college, the whole thing. I had everything figured out. Until I didn't. The first few weeks were fine. No one noticed anything different. But then, it started to show. Little things. A missed period. Nausea I couldn't hide. A tiredness that wouldn't go away. I tried to brush it off, pretend it wasn't happening, but it was. Every day I tried to hide it from my parents. But with each passing week, it was getting harder. I couldn't even pretend to be okay. I couldn't wear baggy clothes forever. My mom started noticing changes in me, asking questions I wasn't ready to answer. Why do you look so pale? Why are you always tired? She didn't know. She couldn't know. Not yet. Then, one day, I overheard something that made everything worse. I was in the kitchen, just trying to act normal, when I heard my parents talking in the other room. I wasn't supposed to be listening, but I couldn't help it. They were planning my future, like they always did, talking about how I was going to finish school, get into a good college, maybe even get a scholarship. I used to smile when they talked about that stuff, but now it felt like a joke. They had no idea that their plans for me were about to be ruined by one tiny secret. My secret. The secret that I couldn't hide forever. It felt like the walls were closing in. I could feel the pressure building. Every time I saw them, every time I heard them talk about my future, it was like I was living someone else's life. I couldn't keep up the act anymore. But I didn't know what to do. I didn't know how to fix this. I thought about telling them. I thought about coming clean. But the thought of their disappointment was too much. I wasn't ready for that. I couldn't face it. Then there was him, my best friend, the one who had always been there. But now every time I tried to talk to him, he pulled away. He started avoiding me, not answering my calls, not texting back. At first I told myself it was nothing. Maybe he was busy. But then I realized the truth. He didn't want anything to do with me. I was on my own, completely on my own. And that felt worse than anything. I tried to convince myself it would be okay, that I could handle this, that I didn't need anyone. But the reality was, I was scared. I was terrified. One night, I sat there staring at the wall, wondering what I was going to do. The truth was getting harder to hide. But what would happen if I told my parents? What would they say? What would they do? Maybe I should just tell them the truth. Maybe it was time to face it. But could I really do that? Could I really tell them everything? Or was it better to keep hiding it and just hope it all worked itself out? I didn't know what the right choice was, but I knew one thing for sure. I couldn't keep living like this. What would you do in my place? Is it better to hide the truth from your parents when things get complicated, or should you tell them right away? Leave your thoughts in the comments. The pressure kept building. Every time I woke up, it felt like I was drowning in a secret too big to hold anymore. My clothes didn't fit the same. I couldn't look my mom in the eye without feeling like she knew, but she never asked. She kept thinking everything was fine. I kept pretending it was fine. Every day I felt more like a ticking time bomb, waiting for everything to explode. My mom would ask if I was feeling okay, if I was just tired from school or stressed about finals, and I'd brush it off. But I could see it in her face, the concern, the worry, and I could feel the distance growing between us. It wasn't just about the changes in my body, it was about what I wasn't saying. The more I hid, the further away she seemed. Things got even worse when I overheard a conversation between my mom and my stepdad. They were talking about how I'd been acting, how I wasn't my usual self. My mom mentioned taking me to a doctor. She was worried about me. She didn't know what was wrong, but she knew something was off. And I felt like I was suffocating under the weight of it all. I couldn't keep pretending. I knew it. But I also knew that telling them the truth meant everything would change. It meant everything I had taken for granted would be gone. Their plans for me, the expectations they had for my future, the life I'd built in their eyes, it would all come crashing down. And I didn't know if I was ready for that. I wasn't sure if I'd ever be ready for that. But something shifted in me. A few days later, as I stood in front of the bathroom mirror, my reflection staring back at me like a stranger, I knew I couldn't keep this secret anymore. It was too big. I couldn't live with it. I couldn't pretend to be fine. That's when I made a decision. I wasn't going to hide anymore. I didn't know what my parents would say or how they'd react, but I knew that no matter what, I couldn't keep pretending. So I went to my mom. She was sitting at the kitchen table as usual, reading a book. I stood in the doorway for a second, my heart racing in my chest. I wanted to say something, anything, but the words didn't come. She looked up and smiled, her eyes warm, but I couldn't return the smile. I couldn't fake it anymore. "Mom, we need to talk," I said, the words finally spilling out. She frowned a little, put the book down, and looked at me. "What's wrong, honey?" I took a deep breath. The secret felt heavy, like a weight I was carrying inside of me, and now it was finally starting to come out. "I'm pregnant." There it was, the truth hanging between us. The words hung in the air, and for a moment, everything stood still. My mom blinked, then blinked again. I couldn't tell what she was thinking. I couldn't read her. I thought she'd cry or yell or do something, but instead she just sat there staring at me, her face unreadable. And then she did something that shattered me. "You're sure?" she asked. "Are you sure about this?" I nodded, tears stinging at the corners of my eyes. I didn't want to cry. I wanted to be strong, to be calm, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. "I'm sure." She stood up slowly, walking to the window, staring out at the yard like she was somewhere far away. Her voice, when it came, was quieter than before. "Who is it? Who did this to you?" The question hit me like a slap. "It's him," I said, barely above a whisper. "My stepdad, the man I'd known my whole life, the man I never thought could betray me like this." For the first time in what felt like forever, my mom turned to face me. Her eyes weren't full of sympathy. They weren't full of anger either. They were empty, cold. She didn't say anything for a long time. The silence in the room felt suffocating. I couldn't breathe. Finally, she spoke. "I don't believe it." I froze. "What?" "I don't believe it," she repeated, her voice hard now, like she had made up her mind. "I don't believe you. I think you're confused. This isn't like you." I could feel my stomach drop. It felt like the world was collapsing. "What do you mean?" "Mom, I'm not lying. This is real." "I can't believe he'd do something like that," she said, almost to herself. "It doesn't make sense. Not him." I just stood there, unable to speak. She didn't believe me. She was defending him, again. I had expected something, but not this. I thought she'd be angry. I thought she'd want to fix it. But she didn't. She wasn't angry at him. She wasn't even upset with me. She just didn't want to face the truth. Have you ever been in a situation where you were so desperate for help, but the people you trusted refused to believe you? What would you do in my place? The silence between us felt endless. My mother didn't say anything after her last words, and I didn't know what to say either. I wanted to scream. I wanted to shake her, make her see the truth, but I knew that wouldn't help. I was standing there, waiting for her to come around, to open her eyes. But she wasn't. Instead, she looked at me like I was the problem. Like I had somehow created this situation, like I had somehow made it all up. She wasn't angry at him, not even a little bit. She wasn't angry at me either. She was just lost. I waited, but the longer we stood there, the more it became clear that I wasn't going to get the reaction I needed from her. She wasn't going to help me. She wasn't going to fix this. She wasn't even going to try to understand. I could feel myself shutting down. All the pain, all the frustration, all the fear. It started to turn into something cold. Something that felt like it had been building up for years. And it finally snapped. I had expected so much from her, so much from this family, and in the end it was all just empty promises. I had been living a lie, and now I was alone in it. She finally spoke again. "I don't know what you want me to do. This is a lot to take in." Her voice was barely a whisper, like she was talking to herself more than me. I just shook my head. I couldn't speak. I couldn't deal with this anymore. I had tried, and now I knew. I knew she wasn't going to believe me. I knew she wasn't going to help me. The only thing I had left was what I decided to do next. I took a step back. I turned to leave, but before I could walk out of the room, she called after me. "Where are you going?" she asked, almost as if she were confused by my actions. "I'm going to figure this out," I said, my voice calm, too calm. "On my own." She didn't try to stop me. She didn't argue. She just stood there, silent, watching me leave. The door closed behind me, and that was it. I was out. I didn't know what I was going to do next, but I knew I couldn't stay there anymore. I couldn't be around her, around him, pretending like everything was fine. I had to get away. I thought about going to a friend, but I wasn't sure I had anyone left. The one person I had trusted the most had just turned their back on me. Everyone had. So I went to the only place that felt like it could be mine, outside. I didn't have a plan, but I had to do something. I walked for what felt like hours, just trying to clear my head, trying to figure out what came next. And then, in a moment of clarity, I knew what I had to do. I went to a clinic, I walked in, filled out forms, and spoke with a counselor who listened to me. For the first time in weeks, I felt heard. I explained my situation, and they told me what my options were. They offered me help, offered me a way out of the mess I had found myself in. It wasn't easy. It wasn't what I thought I would do, but it was what I needed. I needed to take control. I needed to stop hiding. I needed to figure out what I was going to do with this life I had made for myself, even if I had to do it without my mother's support. Do you think it's better to keep hiding the truth, or should you face it head on, no matter how hard it is?